All right, let's get into it. So, first of all, I want to start with the why. Why the Youth Cycling Coalition, or YCC? I know that I don't have to convince this group of the importance of bicycling. That's why we're all here. But I did want to ground us in a couple of facts here. So, since 2007, the number of kids in the US who rides a bike has dropped 20%. Now, we've kind of seen a little bit of an uptick as a silver lining of the pandemic, but generally, we're seeing a decline in ridership. As well as for millions of kids, access to bikes and safe places to ride them is just not a reality. And so, what the YCC is offering here is a solution to these issues by coming together with local stakeholders to do these primary things. Number one, provide coordinated programming and a variety of biking disciplines for youth of all ages. Number two, measuring the impact of our efforts on the community in order to demonstrate our success. Thirdly, creating a replicable model for success that can be translated to other communities in collaborative efforts. And of course, ultimately developing lifelong riders. You can see pictured here some of the programs that I'll get more into later. Now, as we were searching for the perfect community to launch our first pilot program, we considered over 30 communities across the country. And we did a research deep dive. We had an extensive application process. And this fall, we selected Morgantown, West Virginia as our first pilot location for this project. With, I should mention, a pilot soon to follow in Charlotte, North Carolina. But for now, I'm going to focus pretty much primarily on Morgantown. So it was the combination of outdoor recreation opportunities, robust community support, biking momentum, as well as a high need for programming that made Morgantown the best choice for the first pilot. And I think that we have a couple representatives of Morgantown that might be with us today, so thank you if you are here. Our principal partners on the ground in Morgantown are anchored through West Virginia University, specifically the Brad and Elise Smith Outdoor Economic Development Collaborative. Sorry, that's still a mouthful for me. And the Science Behind the Sport programs. I'm not going to get too much into those here with this presentation today due to time, but I encourage everybody to look more into the work that they're doing because these are just fantastic standout programs being run through the university. All right, so what I want to do is quickly touch on each of the programs that are offered as a part of the YCC now, so that you can really get a picture of how these programs fit together on the ground in Morgantown, eventually Charlotte, and then of course beyond to future communities. What you're going to see is that each program has a unique angle and a unique approach so that when we weave them together through the YCC, it forms an integrated, supportive sort of ecosystem of points to engage with the bike. All right, starting off first with Free Bikes for Kids. Free Bikes for Kids is run by Terry Esau, and they are serving all ages with an emphasis on elementary age kids. And what they do is provide free, recycled, refurbished bikes, which are oftentimes the first bike that a kid's had in their entire life. So I'm going to show a short and adorable video here to better describe what's going on.
The Kids is a group of dedicated bike lovers who...
It helped to start from the beginning. Can you hear it?
Well, this is a tour for the ages. Could you have imagined it? This young kid, Joey, from Mountain Lake, Minnesota, has come out of absolutely nowhere with legs of steel and the heart, well, dare I say it, the heart of a lion. Look at Joey now. He's dancing on the pedals, just riding away from his competition. He's flying up the hills. He's defying gravity. No one can hold his wheel. He's riding like a man possessed. Where did this kid come from? He's coming to the line. He's in the final 100 meters. He is going to do it. The kid from nowhere just won the Tour de France. Hello, everybody. I'm Phil Liggett, and I've been announcing the Tour de France for the last 48 years. I've called the finest cyclists in the world win this great cycle tour. But you know, whoever you are, whatever level you reach on a bicycle, you first of all have to love riding a bike. It is a great privilege, one that we should never forget, except for those who haven't got a bike. Now, I'm here to tell you there's something you can do about it. It starts with an organization called Free Bikes for Kids. Free Bikes for Kids is a group of dedicated bike lovers whose sole mission is to make sure every kid gets that first bike. With operations across the country, they collect used bikes, they restore them, and then they give them away. To date, they've given nearly 100,000 bikes to appreciative kids and their parents. But that's just the start. The goal is to give away 1 million bicycles by the year 2025. That's where you come in. If you donate a mere $25, you can put a deserving kid on his or her first bike.
And I'm going to cut it off there to move to the next program. But I would say that I believe they've actually gone over 100,000 bikes at this point. So they're well on their way to their goal of 1 million bikes. Adorable. I'm not going to get into the league here because while the league is an absolutely integral part of this project, I think we all know who the league is, and that's how we all got here. So the next group I want to detail is called Little Bellas, operated by Sabra Davison. Little Bellas serves girls ages 7 to 16, and what they do is provide one-on-one mentoring on a mountain bike to have fun and supportive environments, which encourage confidence, teamwork, and healthy lifestyles. You can see down here in the map all of the places that they're located. West Virginia is not highlighted yet, but soon will be as soon as we roll out programming. And this is one that fits really nicely into several of the programs, but specifically works well together with NICA, which is the next group that I'll discuss, the National Interscholastic Cycling Association, or NICA, headed up nationally by Steve Matus and locally in West Virginia by Cassie Smith, pictured here. NICA serves ages 12 to 18. And what they do is provide mountain bike events, team camps, and clinics that encourage character and skills development around mountain biking. Next up is People for Bikes. So People for Bikes, similarly to the league, is going to serve everyone. They work with communities, individuals, industry, government leaders to make biking better for everyone. And as such, again, an integral component in improving the biking community overall in Morgantown. Next up is Project Bike Tech. So Project Bike Tech is headed up by Mercedes Ross, and they are serving high school juniors and seniors. What they do is provide hands-on learning in fully equipped on-campus bike shops, and they provide an accredited certification process for students, up to 2 years of certification, so that when students graduate, they're better equipped to move into the workforce, be it the cycling industry or other industries. And for this one, I'm going to show another quick video because it looks like we're doing okay on time.
Project Bike Tech got started grassroots. Barry Michelle, the founder, has a bicycle shop. And one day when they were looking for mechanics, she said, why don't we have auto shop for bikes? And so she decided to go to the education department and see if they would like to start something like that. And so that's what that started out as.
We teach kids how to work on bikes and teach them some career-building skills such as resume writing. We start off with flat fixing, hub overhauling, derailleur and brake adjustment, basic repair. The kids can then go into bike overhauls on their own. It's a really fun class for them to get more into cycling and exposes them to a lot of the career options in the bike industry.
The way I learn is I have to do it myself. I can't just be shown on a board or like watch a video on it. I have to have the person sitting with me and doing it as I'm doing it and actually showing me. So that's what I liked about the bike tech class. Everything was just right there. He would instruct us either right next to us or in front of the class. If we needed additional help, he would do it with us. So it just kind of made things a lot easier for me to learn because it was just hands-on, and that's exactly the way I learned, so it was perfect.
Over the years, we've had the opportunity to take internships through the Project Bike Tech program. And so we've had quite a few young people come through that have interned here and gone on to become paid employees and long-term employees. They come in with a base knowledge, and by the time they're a year to 2 years in, they're becoming from like an average bike assembler to moving into real bike mechanics. And we spend a fair amount of time doing extended education and training along with the industry to keep up.
Project Bike Tech connects to our community in many different ways. Every person out there in the community is a teacher, whether it be a police officer or the mother or father down the street. We're all creating examples, right? And so for us to look at Bike Tech as a great example, that's just an example for you guys to be more of a person, to show these little kids that there is a direction that they can create. I have students that come into my class that have taken this course. They use the term life tech, right? And it's because I'm teaching them important skills of hands-on training, how to push themselves to go beyond what they think they can do, and Bike Tech provides that.
All right, next up is Safe Routes Partnership, headed up by Cass Isidro at the national level. Safe Routes is serving elementary and middle school students with a focus on elementary school. I know that many of you may be familiar with these programs. And they're doing this through providing resources, really a wide variety of resources for creating convenient ways to walk or roll to and from school and other important community areas like grocery stores and community centers. And that can include things like one-on-one coaching, toolkits, webinars, and fact sheets. And you'll see some of the examples of the West Virginia fact sheets here. And they're in thousands of communities across the country as well. I've got another quick little video snippet, really cute illustration here to give a better picture of what Safe Routes does.
If there was a way to improve students' health, attendance, and academic success while reducing the chaos at pickup and drop-off, helping the planet, and potentially saving money for your district, introducing Safe Routes to School. Safe Routes to School programs provide guidance and assistance to help your students get to school safely by walking or rolling. Our framework is centered around what we call the 6 E's: engagement, equity, engineering, encouragement, education, and evaluation. Safe Routes to School has been proven to improve focus and academic success, not to mention reducing busing costs and traffic congestion at school. While each community is different, Safe Routes to School projects can help every community. Maybe a walking school bus makes sense. Or maybe it's creating infrastructure for safer streets, starting a crossing guard program, or creating a Safe Routes to School policy for your district. Whatever it looks like, it's all about creating safer, healthier communities for all ages. Ready to get started helping students, families, and staff benefit from Safe Routes to School in your community? Visit saferoutespartnership.org/start to find out. Safe Routes Partnership, active paths for equity and health.
Next up is Trips for Kids. Trips for Kids is represented on the YCC by Kalinda Bogue, and they serve kids ages 7 to 17 by providing a variety of introductory biking experiences, which typically include things like trail rides, earn a bike programs, mobile bike clinics, as well as other excursions, with the goal of promoting healthy lifestyles, environmental awareness, and personal empowerment. Now, this one has an especially adorable video because you're going to hear from the kids themselves about Trips for Kids.
Many people do not realize that a bicycle can be hard to obtain for many kids due to circumstances beyond their control. Now more than ever, there are youth all over North America counting on Trips for Kids to help provide them with the opportunity to ride safe bicycles in safe places with caring people.
I like riding bikes because it gives me adventure.
One reason I like mountain biking is because I'm paving the way for other young females to want to mountain bike and road cycle.
I like riding bikes because I like being active outside and being part of the youth program.
Not all youth have access to bicycles or safe areas in which to ride. Trips for Kids helps change that.
So cute. I love that one because I actually have gotten to meet some of those kids. Next up, we have USA BMX Foundation. So USA BMX Foundation is headed up by Mike Duvarney and serves 3rd, 4th, and 5th graders. They provide STEM-focused, project-based learning, which incorporates social emotional skills and exercise all through BMX. You can see pictured here some of their programs. Right up here in the top corner is actually a design that one of the students made of a real-life BMX track. And then you can see the application of that design in group work in the classroom with these kids actually building the track with dirt. Down here in the bottom, you can see kids visiting the track for the first time. Now, I've done that. I went to Tucson and saw this, and it was totally awesome and totally terrifying at the same time. It's wonderful, but watching those kids on the track for the first time is just a special thing. I think that I've got another little video here, and that's going to be your last video.
Further out, it's a little higher, closer and a little lower, but then you're coming back together there.
We're here with the USA BMX Foundation track modeling program. So the program consists of a week-long where students conceptualize, design, and build a replica scale track. And so what you see behind us are these teachers that have these groups of 5 or 6, and they are essentially building their tracks and bringing their designs and their sketches to life with dirt.
Is that where it is? No. It needs to go this way, like that.
The whole idea is to give these students different elements, different layers of knowledge, and then with the end result, having them go back to their groups and build their tracks and bring them to life. We've taken the whole concept and turned it into a professional development, and they're going through exactly what the students would go through in a consolidated time frame. The big thing about this program is, one, it's aligned, right? So here in Texas, you look at the TEAC standards, and it is aligned line by line to 4th grade. So they are learning to construct, right, and deconstruct. They're learning systems, they're learning soil engineering, they're learning engineering, they're learning design, they're learning math, they're learning scale, they're using ratios. So they're taking all of this and putting it together into one overall project. But 2, it's project-based. And we know as adults that life is project-based, right? And work is project-based. And there's a lot of themes that carry over from this into the real world. And then the third part of it is there's a big social and emotional learning, right? Or the big 8, as they call them here in Texas, right? And so they're learning to work as a team. They're taking all of their design and elements and concepts and putting together into one overall design, which is really, it sounds easy, but it's a lot more difficult to incorporate everyone's design and make everyone happy.
The students are going to struggle with this part. They're all not going to have this ability.
I'm going to cut it off there. And lastly, we have USA Cycling. So USA Cycling is headed up by Rob DiMartini, and we're also having representation from Mari Holden on the YCC from USA Cycling. USA Cycling is, of course, the national governing body for the sport of cycling in the US. And through the pilot program, they're actually going to be serving kindergarten all the way through college through a variety of programs. So through the Let's Ride introductory clinics, they're going to serve those younger ages with bike rodeos. They'll be supporting junior development programs, as well as collegiate teams and clubs. And then, of course, safe sport certification for coaches. I know that was a lot, but that is the YCC in a nutshell. So to wrap up my portion of this, the bottom line, your big takeaway on the YCC is that what we are is a stronger together approach to create connected pathways, resulting in more kids on bikes, which ultimately creates more lifelong riders. And the last thing I want to talk to you about is, of course, how to get involved and stay involved. So nationally, I know that for most of you, nationally, this is going to apply because I think there's just a few local people here. You can contact info@youthcyclingcoalition.org to join our national listserv for updates on the YCC. Locally speaking, for those of you that are local, we're in need of leaders and volunteers for some of these amazing programs still. And you can contact info@youthcyclingcoalition.org. But in this case, please specify your interests. For example, program participation, you're a parent who's got a kid who's interested, you want to volunteer, donate, etc. And of course, you can check us out at our website at youthcyclingcoalition.org. Oops, what? Oh my goodness.
Thanks, Kat. So there's some questions that are coming in.
Good.
And I guess I'll just start sending them your way if that sounds okay.
Yeah, I think for the remaining 15 to 20 minutes, that is going to be the way to go. Sorry, I got a little thrown off because somebody sent me a message. So yeah, like I said, I wanted to introduce the YCC to you all, but also would love to turn this into a discussion. So I'm going to probably stop sharing my screen here and yeah, bring them on. Oh, I see. Yeah, there's a full chat. I apologize. I was running the presentation and I haven't seen the chat, but
no, it's mostly praise of the awesome videos. So yeah, nice job with all of that. I'll try to maybe I can help you by just sending them your way if it helps.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah, so I'll do that. I'll do that. Yeah. So so one question is there any advocacy angle to this program? So is there so there's a lot of getting kids on bikes and access to bikes. Is there any sort of thinking around getting kids involved with local bike advocacy? I don't know if that's come up in Morgantown, but just your thoughts on it.
Absolutely. I mean, for my personal bent, I would hope that would be a result of this for certain. And I think that's where the league and people for bikes and groups like that come in, because these are the groups that are going to foster an overall improvement in the overall bicycling culture and receptivity towards bicycling in the community at large. And so I think those are going to be points to engage with activism. And remember, the whole idea is that we're all coming in to do this in a coordinated way where we're all communicating and working together. So I think that it will foster that advocacy that much more, because everyone's programs will be intersecting. And so I see real opportunities for that. But I should give the caveat that this is still a pilot program. Yeah. And so there's going to be a lot of points where I may not have a complete answer to your question. And this could be one of those. I can't point to 3 specific initiatives that we've already got up and running to focus on advocacy or anything quite that specific. But I would say yes is the short answer.
Good. Yeah. Well, I'll also jump in and to say that, that was one of the first things I heard when I was talking to the contact in Morgantown was just that, we've had a relationship with advocates in Morgantown for a long time, and it's kind of, there isn't a really strong coordinated advocacy group there, and so there needs to be more support given there, and we hopefully we can help organize some of that and help support that work, because that's what the decision makers need, I think, in order to make the sort of infrastructure improvements and everything else that's going to make bicycling beyond your neighborhood really accessible. Question about the videos, because everybody loved the videos. Did everybody made their own video? YCC didn't, coordinate that effort. Am I right about that?
Yeah, 100%.
Otherwise, we didn't get a video. So
I basically reached out when I was developing this presentation a while back and said, if anybody has, really great but short video that I can put in here, please let me know. So YCC did not do those. I cannot take credit for those in any way. Each organization provided their own videos. And so I would say that if you saw one that you're like, oh, wow, I really need to know more about that, reach out to those individual organizations, or of course me, who can connect you to all of those organizations.
So is the YCC planning on implementing several of these programs at once, or is it a la carte sort of approach in that community or in communities moving forward?
Really, really good question. Love that question. It's It is all at once. It's everyone together for sure. But I will say that there's naturally a sort of a staggered rollout process that's happening because everybody needs a little bit something different in order to get started and get up and rolling. And then some programs you might have noticed through the presentation are anchored through the schools, like USA BMX Foundation, Project Bike Tech, and to some degree Safe Routes are anchored through schools. So it's a little bit more about, you know, talking to the principals, talking to the teachers, and getting it up and running through the school year, which would start in the fall. Whereas there's other programs like Little Bellas and Trips for Kids that may, now COVID dependent, be able to get started a little earlier in the summer. So it's everyone coming together, but there is a natural staggered rollout process that's occurring.
Okay. And so is, like, what's the feedback that you're getting? How are you how's the YCC evaluating this work, and is youth feedback part of that?
Specifically, I want to make sure I'm understanding the question. So you're specifically asking about from getting feedback from youth?
Yeah, so both. So I think the question is mostly about, well, that's how I'm reading into it.
Okay.
Does the YCC plan to include youth feedback as the program runs into future programming? And I thought I saw another question about just like, how are you evaluating the program at all?
Yeah. So I'll speak to both data evaluation in general and then touch on the youth side as well. So as like Bill mentioned in my bio, I serve on the National Youth Bike Council as an advisor as well, just as, you know, part of my personal passion for this work. And I've also attended the Youth Bike Summit a couple years with students. So I feel that it's really, really important to incorporate youth voices when you're building something for youth, right? You want them to have involvement in it and buy-in towards it. So again, a short, non-specific answer would be yes. One of the ways I'm thinking about doing that is incorporating having a youth session at the Youth Bike Summit. And we were supposed to do that last year. I was going to attend and have sort of a brainstorming plenary introduction session like this, gleaning their ideas and their input. But of course that was put off due to the pandemic. Another way that we're doing it, which leads into the data component, is by administering a sort of, I'm not going to call it a survey, but a youth interest form so that we can get feedback from the beginning, right out of the gate from these kids on the ground in Morgantown, so that we can ensure, you know, really where is the interest? What are the specific needs? So that we're not just coming in and saying, oh, here's something that we think that you need, but it's guided by the need and the interest of the kids there. And I will say that when I visited, there were kids basically clawing at my legs, begging for these programs. So I know that the interest is there. And then I guess to wrap up that quickly and answer the larger data question, we are working with a PhD research student and a data team from the university on our greater data plan. And that's really all I can say at this point about that. But yes, measurement data collection is happening in a big way.
Great. Yeah, that statistic, that one of the early questions was, you know, how was that statistic calculated about youth bicycle ridership being down 20%? Can you talk to the data a little bit?
Man, I knew this was going to come up because I did not cite the source on that. And I had found that statistic several months ago. So I cannot cite the source on that. But what was the second half of that question? You were talking about the data?
No, I think that was it. You know, just knowing where that data is coming from and how we know that. I can say that, you know, we put out the every 2 years we put out the benchmarking report on biking and walking, and so that data, you know, that's national sources sort of looking at a lot of pieces of information, and there's a little bit about youth in there. But I know that I think People for Bikes and others and Outdoor Industry Foundation have done research, and I believe that that's probably the best place to look for that.
I thought maybe I could find it really quickly, but I couldn't, so
yeah.
Sorry.
Unless Zoe wants to jump in and just tell us all about it now. So no, I'm not putting you on the spot, Zoe. Don't worry. I'm like, do I see you in here somewhere? Yeah. So. Atiba. So you know, in Atlanta, the Youth Bike Summit is going on, and he asks, you know, like, are all the Youth Cycling Coalition groups, like, are UCAC going to help like, are we all gonna go to the Youth Bike Summit? Is that something that you're thinking about organizing, as he's the, setting that up in Atlanta? Don't know, the dates aren't here, but yeah, but
I can't promise that I can drag all of the 10 leaders onto a plane with me, though I would love to try, because that would be a really fun plane ride. But I can say that I plan to be there. Like I said, like I mentioned, I was planning to be there last year and it was put off. But yes, 100%, I plan to be there representing the YCC. And like I said, incorporating the youth feedback and making sure that, this is all part of one effort. Their goals are aligned to our goals. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think we'll be joining you too. So there's
Terry
two of us. There's two of us. Yeah. So we had that Youth Bike Summit planning session here on Sunday, and it's awesome. And it's really great to see that group and see how you can interface with the Youth Biking Council. So that's really great. Question about Charlotte. So it sounds like Charlotte has come up a few times as we talked about Morgantown, but Charlotte has also come up. Like how does Charlotte fit into this, and what are the plans there, or loosely plans?
Yeah,
there?
great question. So Charlotte is kind of on deck is the way I'm looking at it. So we are definitely, our primary focus right now with this first pilot project is Morgantown. But we have our sights set on Charlotte next. So these are really complementary places in a lot of ways. I was able to visit both this fall, and both submitted incredible applications to host the pilot city location. So, you've got a really, really, really massive community in Charlotte, and by contrast, a really small community in Morgantown. And there's a lot of ways that they're opposite and complementary in that regard. So that's really all I can say about it for now, is that we've got our sights set on Charlotte next, and that there's definitely some preliminary, I'd say, work going on there. And several of the YCC member organizations are already on the ground in Charlotte, or soon to be.
Yeah, I really appreciated all the work you put into this, Kat. As somebody on the coalition, hearing, just seeing the process, seeing the investment. I mean, having you in this role and going and checking these places out in person and really meeting people is fantastic. I mean, we know from the National Bike Summit, we all know in our work, it's a people-powered movement, and we have to really get there. So I appreciate you doing all that work and working through that. So I want to say, Neil says, what's the process to start a chapter or to be considered? It's not a chapter, but it's like a part of it, a chapter city, he says. But I don't think there's a chapter yet. But what's the process for like the next group after this? Like, what's the timeline and all that?
I love that question. So our timeline for Morgantown, like I said, hopefully COVID safety dependent, of course, we'll be starting to roll out programs in the summer with a more robust rollout in the fall, and then looking to Charlotte after that. So I'd say it might be a minute to get on deck to be the next city, but I will tell you that the momentum, the sort of spirit of the YCC and what it is already taking off. So I know that just in my visiting Charlotte, a lot of people came together who hadn't come together and hadn't, collaborated. And so there's momentum there now. I know that there's some collaboration going on up in Minneapolis, or I think in St. Paul, really, with some rumors floating around about a YCC sort of collaboration starting there. So I would say we are 100%, definitely looking to the future to keep this going. Like we said, we're creating a replicable model so that we can take this to other places. But I would also say that, there's plenty of momentum and collaboration between these groups already existing.
Absolutely. So any final questions? I think, Kat, you and I talked a little bit and said, you'd expressed an interest in hearing, I don't know, maybe this is partial listening session here in the last few minutes. Like, is there anything that you saw and you're thinking, as a participant, like, hey, check out this place, or, check out this kind of program. Is there anything, you want to share with us there? The group, please do that here in the chat. And again, Kat made her contact information available. Any other sort of final questions from folks or comments?
Dropping the email in the chat just one more time, just in case.
Okay, awesome. Yeah. So it says, FYI, even though a full YCC might take a while for your city, many of the individual orgs are already to launch in your city. Free Bikes for Kids, fb4k.org. If you didn't see that,
yeah, Free Bikes.
Free Bikes for Kids. If you didn't see that, thank you, Terry, for that. That is true. Good plug. For all the groups doing this work right now. So if you saw a video and you thought, gosh, like we have some of the other components, I'm sure that you can go directly to them and add that to what you're already doing.
Well, thank you everyone for joining us, and thank you, Bill, for helping me to jumping in here to help me kind of like wrangle that chat section. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, no, my pleasure, and I really appreciate you, Kat, and everything you're doing. So thanks from the League. Really appreciate you and all the other coalition members. And thanks everyone for coming.
All right. Thanks everyone.
Thank you.
Send us an email at info@youthcyclingcoalition.org. Last plug. Thanks. Have a great afternoon.